In order to stay on the cutting edge of combat technology, the military brass has gambled on some dubious tactics in the age of modern combat. Unsurprisingly, even the most powerful minds and war chests on the planet couldn't save these 5 doomed experiments. Number 5. Project Iceworm. The threat of nuclear war has never felt more real than during the Cold War. The US and the Soviet Union spent years examining every nook and cranny that could give them an advantage over the other superpower. The United States Army devised a plan in 1958 to store hundreds of ballistic missiles beneath Greenland's ice caps. In the event of a nuclear attack by the Soviets, these missiles were to be aimed at the USSR. To dispel the notion that this is just a concept, the Army built a prototype ice base called Camp Century. This was a complex, nuclear-powered network of icy underground tunnels, laboratories, and sleeping quarters for more than 100 people. The complex even had its own hospital and movie theater. This engineering feat, no matter how impressive, could not overcome nature's will. The facility's structural integrity began to deteriorate 3 years after Project Iceworm was launched. Camp Century's structure deteriorated. The nuclear reactor was removed by 1964, and the entire project was scrapped in 1966. Number 4. The Flying Saucer. At the height of the Cold War, the US was concerned that Russian ballistic missiles could target American airfields, rendering American air combat ineffective. This fueled the Pentagon's desire to create a vertical takeoff aircraft. Project 1794 was given the go-ahead in 1956. The Pentagon hired the Canadian firm Avro Aircraft to design the device. Avro's assessment of the craft's capabilities was somewhat idealistic. They claimed that the craft was capable of flying at 2,600 miles per hour and hovering at 100,000 feet. The Avro vehicle did hover, at a height of roughly 3 feet, which is good news, 1 meter. Additionally, it flew at a speed of about 35 miles per hour, 56 kilometers per hour. All of that at the dirt cheap price of $3,168,000, current market value, $26.6 million. The project was abandoned in 1961 because the price tag was too expensive, and a year later the Canadian company went out of business. At the National Museum of the United States Air Force in Dayton, Ohio, one of the Avrocar prototypes is currently on exhibit. The U.S. Army Transportation Museum at Fort Eustis, Virginia, received a second prototype. Number 3. Pain Rays. It's a little more recent than this one. The Department of Defense created a Active Denial System, or ADS, in the middle of the 2000s. The ADS was a non-lethal directed energy weapon that could fire a man-sized millimeter wave beam up to a range of 3,280 feet, 100 meters, at a time. It was essentially a heat ray designed to instantly hurt people and scatter rowdy groups. The device's testing was, to put it mildly, inconsistent. A report that had been highly redacted was made public by the Air Force in 2007 after an airman suffered burns from an ADS burst that lasted 4 seconds. The results varied in a second demonstration, this time for reporters. The pain ray was diminished to a pleasant, warm sensation by the rain. The ADS had been suggested for use in jails, at the border with Mexico, and in the Afghan War. The plan was rejected each time. Number 2. Project Stargate. This Stargate is not to be mistaken with the well-known sci-fi films or television shows. It might even be less based in reality. The CIA started investigating the use of extrasensory perception (ESP) and psychokinesis, moving objects with the mind, for espionage, a move that could have only been done during the Cold War. According to a classified report from 1972, the Soviet Union was investing a significant amount of money in studying psychic abilities and how they might be applied in the military. The CIA started funding their own research because they didn't want the Russians to be the first. The de facto center for this research was the Stanford Research Institute in California. It was known as Project Stargate. One of the psychics, referred to as remote viewers, assisted the CIA on 450 operations. Even self-described psychic and spoonbender Uri Geller was enlisted by the feds. The American Institutes for Research came to the conclusion that remote seeing has not been demonstrated to work by a psychic process and that it should not be used operationally in their study. Number 1. Kitty Spies. Operation Acoustic Kitty has a modern folk trio-like sound. In actuality, it was a 1960s CIA initiative to employ non-human spies for espionage. The first error might have been assuming cats would cooperate. The procedure was cruel to the selected felines. According to Victor Marchetti, a former assistant to the director of the CIA, the cat was cut open, given batteries, and hooked up. They made a monstrosity. The original Acoustic Kitty ended up costing about $20 million in all. The cat's first mission ended in failure since it was hit by a car and killed before it reached the goal. The project was included in the CIA's list of failed initiatives by 1967. Well, that was it for the video. Hope you liked it. If you did, then don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more videos. Stay tuned for the next one.